Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharon Tiger, and I will be going over Chapter 12. So let's get started. Chapter 12 starts off with theories. First one is the leader-member exchange model developed by George Green and Fred Danzaray. The leaders-member exchange model stresses the independent relationship leaders have with each of their followers. In this theory, leaders develop special relationships with certain groups, and they refer to those groups as the in-group. If you are not part of this group, you are referred to as the out-group. The next theory is the Hersey and Blanchard model. This model suggests that leaders choose a leadership style that fits the followers' maturity level. For example, a leader can use delegating styles to give the group more responsibility, or use selling styles in which the leader tries to sell his ideas to the groups. Next slide. There are three types of leadership in the eyes of followers. Transformational leadership. On the next slide, James Burns introduced this concept in 1978. James Burns defined transformational leadership as a process where leaders and their followers raise one another to high levels of maturity and motivation. Transactional leadership focuses on supervision, organization, and performance. Through this theory, leaders promote compliance through rewards and punishments. Next slide is charismatic leadership. Anyone with this characteristic can influence others better than leaders without the charismatic characteristics. Next slide. The next slide shows alternatives to leadership. We all know who a leader is, but what makes a leader a leader? We all try to understand why people do what they do. Well, take that same perspective and apply it to leadership. Employees will interpret the ability of a leader by observing how that leader behaves. Listed in Chapter 12 is leadership substitutes. On the next slide. For example, when an EMS is rushing into a hospital with a patient, all the doctors and nurses, they just don't stand around waiting on someone to take control or be a leader. No leader is needed. The trained professionals know what to do. Next is leadership neutralizer. For example, when a new leader steps into a leadership role with a group of highly experienced employees, the norms and cohesiveness of the group may be so strong that there is nothing that the new leader can do. Next slide. The next slide talks about the changing nature of leadership. Times are changing, and so are faces of leadership. Coaches, mentors, and even parents are seen as leaders in this day and age. Women are getting bigger roles, and diversity is a great thing for new ideas and leaders. Well, women tend to have stronger interpersonal skills than men. Next slide, I have the GLOBE Project. The GLOBE Project focuses on international leaders and was initiated by Robert House. Take a few moments and read the 6 leader behaviors that can be observed across different cultures. Some of the leadership roles was the charismatic role, and that just goes to show you how important that leadership style actually is. The next slide talks about emerging issues in leadership, which are strategic leadership, ethical leadership, and virtual leadership. Strategic leadership is not having the capacity as a leader to focus on the organization and the followers. That can become an issue because if the leader is focused too much on the employees, the organization may lack, or vice versa. Ethical leadership, meaning the ethical principles are sometimes ignored or overseen. That can promote an issue, legal issues, as well as maybe issues developing between employees if the rules or the policies are not adhered by. And the last issue noted in chapter 12 is the virtual leadership, which that can be a struggle because the leader and the follower are so far away. The only time they can communicate is via internet, social media, and there's not really a way for the leader to lead when they have those rules so far away. Chapter 12 gave much insight into leadership, and it was a great way to learn about future leaderships, as well as who is seen as a leader in this day and age. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Everyone have a great afternoon and take care.